Turn it up.
From the YBA Phoenix Fitness 24/7 basketball facility in Rockland, California, it's Coach's Rize time with Coach C. Collins.
Get it started. 3, 2, 1.
Coach's Rize time.
Yep, it's about that time again. It's Coach's Rize time. I'm Coach C. Collins. I want to give you a little insight on something specific about the game. Obviously, if you listen to our main show, About That Life podcast with me and Coach Mark, you already know what's up. You already know what time it is. Here, I'm just trying to give a little insight into one aspect of the game. Quick little segments. Again, if you're subscribing, if you're following, if you're supporting, please, by all means, keep going. We appreciate it. If you're new to the channel and you're checking this out, maybe I give you a little bit of tidbit that helps you out as a coach in your program, and I'm glad to do it. Where I'm just here trying to provide a service and give my insight a little bit, and hopefully it helps. So today's topic, I wanted to talk about tryouts. Now that we have tryouts coming for middle school, I know in my area we have 7th and 8th grade tryouts, and obviously that's not always the easiest to make happen. There's a lot of AAU programs in my area, so the kids get pulled a million different directions. Funny enough, as many kids as there are, well, as many AAU programs as there are, there's still more kids than AAU programs. So, we could have 1,000 AAU programs, but there's still more kids and more athletes that want to participate. So that's actually kind of the cool part. Finding the good ones, finding the ones that fit for your particular needs as parents and kids. That's where you got to use some discernment and figure it out for yourself. But I'm here to talk to coaches about this topic in particular, about tryouts, how to run a tryout, how to maybe some signs and things to look for. Because, again, you might be a coach or you might be a new coach and you're just trying to figure out, well, how do I know this kid fits and doesn't, right? Because Lowe, Vice President of the Soldiers, on the episode About That Life said it. He said, like what Calipari said to him, he said, I like that kid. I like him a lot, but I don't like him for Kentucky. You know what I mean? And Lowe has the same deal kind of with his program. He's like, I like that kid. I think he's an amazing kid, an amazing talent, but I don't like him with the Soldiers. You know what I mean? So you guys as coaches, you have to kind of figure out what works. I can tell you the formula we could use and that I personally use in YBA, and you can adopt some of it or not. Either way, maybe it just gives you a different perspective and sparks some interest. We do warm-ups as usual. I would also say you might want to implement a little bit of a combine style, and not so much to where you're doing all this like timed athletic running and things like that, but make it simple. Say, okay, I want each kid to shoot 10 free throws, maybe 15. You say, okay, if they can only make 1 to 3 free throws out of 15, you say, okay, you're probably you go A, B, C, D, E, right? You go there, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever one kid, whatever works for your grading system. You say, okay, if he can make 3 free throws, then you say, okay, I want 10 left-handed layups, 10 right-hand layups, and 30 seconds of stationary dribbling. You monitor how many times in the dribble they fumble the ball. If they can only make 2 out of 10 left-hand layups and 5 out of 10 right-hand layups, clearly, obviously, assuming the kid's right-handed, now you got basically like a 3, a 2, a 5, and you average out that number, right, out of those, how many shots is that? 25 shots or 35 shots. And you say, okay, their shooting level is below average, whatnot. And then you do the dribbling stationary 30 seconds. Okay, they fumbled it 6 times, 7 times stationary dribbling. Well, that shows, there may be a below average dribbling. You average all that out, then you place them on the court you see accordingly. So if, for instance, we have 3 courts accessible to us, you have 20 kids on one court, that's kind of like your DC level, or like, what we call rec, developmental level. And then you have your intermediate court, right, which is, B, C, and maybe some B pluses, some C pluses, maybe a D plus kid. You kind of distinguish from there. And then you have your A court. You have your 20 top kids who you're hopefully familiar with, know the game. You can see them play, and you go from there. Also, my advice to you programs: have multiple coaches. It's very tough if you're doing it yourself. Even if you have 15 kids at your tryout, you really want to pick the kids that fit what you need. So make sure you have a different set of eyes, not just your own. Obviously, the decision coaches ultimately come up to you, but make sure you kind of look and see who works with what. Also, want to make this clear, and this is mainly for you parents. Make sure you are kind of gauging the situation. Be aware of where your kid actually is. If your kid is on a lower level, maybe it's time to, sign them up for some training, maybe do some extra rec programs. Don't be afraid to assess. And then obviously if your kid is at the A level, think about, financially, what do you want to invest? Do you want to do travel? Do you want to do super competitive tournaments? The higher the level, I'll be honest with you, you're going to play more holdbacks, especially in the 7th and 8th grade. So your 13-year-old might be playing a 15-year-old, and it's going to make a huge difference on that basketball court. Is it fair? Well, that's a whole nother debate, but it will happen. Coaches, judge the parents throughout the tryout. Watch how they're looking at the kids. See if there's this dad screaming at his son, like, make the layup, make a good one. I mean, maybe that might be someone you're like, not a good fit for me. Maybe talk to the kids, make jokes with them, see if they're laughed, gauge their personalities, the abilities and skills. Find out traits that work for what you're looking for your team, coaches. Don't just pick the kids that can score. Don't just look at like, these 10 kids score a lot of points, so therefore they're going to be perfect together. No, you got to see personalities, skill sets. Do they complement each other? Right? Does this kid score on the attack and this kid scores from the 3-point? Is this kid a hustle kid and works hard for everything and does dirty work, and this kid plays phenomenal defense but only has one trick pony, like a corner 3 shot? Distinguish what your kid's strengths are and what they can do. And I think that'll help in your process. I think that can help you figure out kind of what works, what doesn't. The trial process is tricky, no doubt about that. You really got to have a feel, and you're gauging it, and you're trying to, make something out of nothing, right? But hopefully this gives you some tips. Hopefully it helps. The last thing I could say, the last thing I could say when it comes to tryouts for sure is don't be afraid to cut. I know it's tough. It's never fun. You never want to break a kid's heart. And of course, once you cut a kid, you're obviously going to hear from some parents, especially a mom, that's going to come up and go, "How dare you, You know what I mean? They're just going to say, you're an asshole or whatever like that. And you just take it and you say, hey, man, I hear you. I appreciate it. It's always funny to me when you cut a kid and the parent comes up to you, or the dad or mom, like, you don't know what the fuck you're doing. You're a terrible coach. Like, my kid's amazing. He was number 1 in his rec league. He was the top rated middle school kid and 6th grader back in such and such time. And I just look at him and I'm like,
stop the cap. Stop the cap right now. Stop the cap.
Exactly. So, it is what it is, man. But my coaches out there, I advise you, stick by your guns, trust your judgment, make a few combine things that can distinguish like kids' skill level and ability, especially for that 7th, 8th grade, because things are very different and awkward and growing. You're going to have your super tall kids who, can barely walk and chew bubble gum. You have your shorter, more elite kids, and you'll have a bunch of in between. But also use discernment on the parents, the work ethic of the kid, the coachability. Are they listening to you? Are they learning? Are they just trying to show you I can shoot and nothing else? Like, make sure you judge these things in these tryouts and enjoy it. You know what I mean, coaches? This is kind of your fun time before you get serious with practice and things like that. So make sure you have some fun with it. With all that being said, I hope you enjoy this little segment of Coach's Rize Time. Again, I want to thank our Patreon members. If you want to support the Patreon member, or the Patreon links, the Venmo, Cash App, it's all in the links. Send $1, send $20. It all really, really, really helps. I think I'm very proud. I shouldn't say I think. I'm very proud of the progress we made and the response we're getting from people. It seems like this service is actually getting through to people and giving them some good advice. So in order to keep this flowing, you need your support. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm a major TV network and have unlimited funds. So, you supporting $1 a month goes a long way. Outside of that, everybody be safe. It's getting cold out there. It's really cold in some places. Stay warm. Enjoy your AAU seasons. I know those are coming up. Shout out to all the directors making things happen. I know I'm excited for this coming high school season because YBA was approved for the UA Rize circuit. So I will be coaching officially on the Rize circuit to really test my team's mettle and get them some good scholarships, hopefully. So, keep listening, keep staying tuned in. Check out the About That Life main show. Have a good night and be safe.